Hey, what's up, folks? It's Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance channel that always has your back and tells it like it is. Well, in today's weekly Jasmy update, I have got so much information for you. It's like the Thanksgiving video. There is just so much in here. It was nearly impossible to organize it all. It's sort of a never-ending rabbit hole. And that's exactly what has happened with all of this research, and especially as I started digging the other day. I was looking at the Sony archives, I'm looking at Google Japan. I found so many things from Reddit. Shout out to Lil Bidman. He's got all kinds of things posted out there. Different articles from the past, from Medium. We're going to be getting into a little bit of everything today. We're going to be talking about addresses, where these various corporations overlap. There's just so much overlap that bleeds through and covers different areas. You can really see why Jasmy is interconnected throughout Japan easily, okay? So I think with Jasmy, a lot of it is all sort of beta testing, but once all of this officially goes live and is officially proven, the various consortiums, it's going to be a really big deal, and that's what I'm going to show you in today's video. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a long one, but I'll hopefully organize it with the timestamps, and if you want to skip ahead, forward, backward, whatever, go right ahead. Okay, so if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button. If this is your first time to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and if you click the bell, you'll be made aware whenever I post time-sensitive content just like this. And now, let's get it going. All right, so what's up, everybody? I have got so much to share with you in this video. When I tweeted the other day that I went down the rabbit hole, I mean, I went way down the rabbit hole. I found so many different things that it's nearly impossible to organize all this stuff. So I'm just going to kind of tackle each article one at a time and then show you the various screenshots of things that I saved. And some of them I'll be kind of going back to. So it's going to be a little bit disorganized compared to my normal videos. There's so much in here that it's nearly impossible to organize this into one coherent video. But that's what I'm going to try and do today. So here we go. So here's our first post. This is from Hara. So this one in particular, he noted that they updated these stats on the Jasmy.Global website. And what's really interesting about this is that if you're not familiar with this, Jasmy actually has multiple websites. So the website that is probably not the best looking website is the Japanese one. Well, this Jasmy.Global one is actually a much more polished website, and that is also now confirmed to be their official website. So pretty wild. Now, what he posted here, he said, we've updated technical info on the Jasmy.Global website, including blockchain transaction. We'll continue to compare our targets to where we are now, right? So if you click on this, the Jasmy blockchain stats. So we've got total transactions roughly that have gone through on here, transactions per day, 579. And then if you look at the present, you notice all these numbers are blank, right? So what that tells me is that everything that they have been doing to date has been in a bit of a beta testing, right? So active users, so their target 107 million. Data values. I saw somewhere, I think it was maybe on Reddit, somebody was asking, well, what's the 500 number mean? Well, this is probably $500. This is the average revenue per user is what they're referring to here. And then the PDR is 16.7. So I think the big takeaway with all of this in particular is simply that they're finally updating these numbers, and that they basically confirm that this has been in a beta phase for the most part. Okay, there is not any active users as of yet, but when they are active, this is where they'll be updated. Okay, so now let me get out of this thing here and let me scroll down a little bit. So this also got interesting. So Dip Metaverse commented on there that they needed to update the circulating supply because we knew the number was wrong, the price was wrong. And lo and behold, they actually did that. So it looks like they must have read that post. So way to go, man. Great comment on there. Actually led to them updating that. And then there was another comment here that says, what does this mean when you say Jasmy blockchain? Is Jasmy going to create its own chain? So the Wolf of Nash Street, right? And so what we found out basically, so Yarla posted down here that actually they posted this, I want to say this dates all the way back to July of 2021. And essentially, they said that they were working with a company called New Zealand Central Limited. So this New Zealand company, aka Centrality, that's what it is. And so this is what's really fascinating with Jasmy is that oftentimes you have to go back into the past to these old articles because it's like things are kind of announced and they just sort of go out into the vacuum of space, and then we sort of forget about them, and then we move forward in time, and then we're all asking these questions of, well, how does this really work, and what does this really look like? And it turns out that um, the actual blockchain for the personal data lockers and all this stuff is not going to be Ethereum, but rather it's with this Centrality. Okay, and so that's where this really starts to get interesting. So let me go forward here. So here is what the Jasmy.Global website looks like if you haven't seen this. So when I first found this, I kind of thought, is this really the Jasmy website? I really wasn't sure. And, it was kind of like, who actually made this? I just wasn't really comfortable with it, I guess is a good way to put it. And now, lo and behold, Hara did confirm this is the actual team. So this is their more polished official website. Now, if you click on that, get Jasmy. So it says right here, Jasmy coin. And look at this, circulating supply 30.8 billion. So Jasmy is aware that the community knows that the circulating number in coin market cap is wrong. So we finally got the right number here, official from the team, 30.8 billion. Now, I think, and Dip Metaverse proved that it's actually higher than that with some of the latest central exchange listings. It's a little bit higher than that, but at least we got it this far. So that's really cool. Okay. Now let me move forward to the next post here. So this was a Medium article specifically about Centrality. And in the article, they mentioned Jasmy. And I found this through a Reddit post where somebody had posted it and said, hey, they're talking about Jasmy in here. So it says, how deep is the tie up and cooperation with Jasmy going? So this is from 2020 now. And it says, please tell me how Sens and Jasmy are involved now and in the future. So it says, Jasmy is a core partner, and we are very excited about the technology we're creating together. The JasmyNet IoT platform uses plug technology, and the unique Jasmy decentralized apps are awesome solutions for enterprise customers. The Jasmy team is very experienced, and they have deep relationships with large companies, and they are a very exciting project for 2020, and we're happy to be working with them to become a success. So here's a pic of the Jasmy tech team in New Zealand last month working with our engineers. So this is back in 2020. The Jasmy tech team is there working with the Centrality engineers. Now it goes on to say, so what's the Plug Centrality relationship? So it says, Plug is a core part of our future. Plug is the innovation house for the core network protocols and technology that we use to create existing projects like SensNet, TrackBack, and JasmyNet.plugnet. Will also be our interoperability layer so we can connect all of these great networks together. So really, really interesting. So the Jasmy blockchain that we've all been wondering about is actually a partnership with Centrality that's been going on for quite a while. And I've got some more to share on that. So moving forward here is an article also from Medium, and it says a cooperation of Jasmy and Centrality to promote the independent IoT network on a large scale. So it says that they've formed a strategic alliance with Centrality Limited, a blockchain development enterprise, and combined its own IoT technology, original ideas, and Centrality's advanced blockchain technology to create a large scale autonomous IoT network for a wide use. So pretty cool. So there it is, right? And this dates back to July 1st, 2021. Now, there were some really interesting things that I noticed in here that I haven't seen anywhere else. And so, again, this is where these things are sort of posted, and then we have to go back and find them again. But like one of the things it says here, like this monitoring camera. So it says Jasmy has added high secure functions to the increasingly popular surveillance cameras, not only launching businesses with higher added value such as AI identification and nursing by business cooperation with security companies, elderly nursing by cooperation with service companies, etc., but also responding to gradually expanding user needs on the basis of security monitoring, such as nursing services for the elderly and pets. So I had no idea that this was even another angle that Jasmy was looking at, this whole security angle. So really, really cool. They go on further. They talk about secure smartphone. So that's some more using the secure PC, right? So just absolutely wild. And then they go on to say in the back here, about Centrality. So they're a tech startup located in New Zealand. So its mission is to build user-centered ecosystem. It uses blockchain, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and other emerging technologies to create an advanced and interconnected world. Now, here's where this gets even more interesting. So let me go forward a little bit. So one of the members of the Jasmy team is Sheng Guo. So Jasmy Soft Tech Chief Information Officer, Enterprise Architect. So he's involved in all the IT aspects with Jasmy, right? Now, where it gets really interesting is when you check out his LinkedIn page. So here's Sheng Guo's LinkedIn page. And look where he worked from 2018 to 2019. Centrality.ai, Melbourne. So there it is. There's the connection to Centrality. So lo and behold, we've got one of the guys who used to work at Centrality is now on the Jasmy team. And that's probably part of why they're using Centrality to help expand their blockchain. So pretty awesome. All right, moving forward. So I wanted to go back over to Twitter, and this is my Twitter page now. So the only big exchange listing that I saw this past week was this one with BitThumb, and Hara did retweet that BitThumb exchange listing, so that was a big one. Then we also had here's a post here from Brian Russell. So if you're not following Brian yet, definitely give him a follow. Give Dip Metaverse a follow. Pretty much all the guys in the space. There's a lot of people doing really good research that's all coming together. And I got to throw a huge shout out to Lil Bidman over at Reddit. He's posted so many things that I've gone back and looked at and found that are just absolutely awesome. And I'm going to share a few more of those in this video, but definitely follow these various researchers. Really good. So Brian mentioned that Tadashi Morita invented the FeliCA chip over at the Sony Computer Science Laboratory, helping pave the way for Society 5.0, along with Hiroki Kitano. He says, I never knew Kitano was a Society 5.0 visionary, right? So that was really cool. Cool set of articles there. Like that. And then up here, he had done this thread here, which was all by Lil Bidman on Reddit about the various connections with Sony and with Jasmy. Now, there's some interesting developments on this, and I'm going to show you this towards the end when I'm going through the various screenshots. But it does not appear from everything that I've found that Sony is Jasmy. They are not the same, even though there are strong overlaps in numerous areas. But Sony is not Jasmy, okay? And Hara confirmed as much in a AMA that was done on Discord, and I'll be showing a screenshot of that in a second, okay? But anyway, once I went through here and I went through into the Sony website, you can look at all of Sony's news archives dating back into the late 90s, and there is just a treasure trove of information. And for those who don't know this, I really didn't know this ahead of time, so I kind of researched this the other day as well. Kunitake Ando, who was the head of Sony, he was the head of Sony from 2000 to 2005. Prior to that, he was the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. And he is a lifelong Sony person. I want to say he worked there since like the late 60s. So he had been working at Sony forever. He founded the Sony Life Insurance Company. He was on that all the way up through, I think, 2018. So just like 50 years of experience with Sony, just a wealth of knowledge, right? But what was really interesting that I found out with him, and I'm going to share some of this in a minute, is in particular his relationship that he had with a lot of the really big tech CEOs of the day, including Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. He knows all of them, all of these guys. He knows everybody. he's connected through all of them, which is just absolutely crazy. And the other really interesting thing that I learned was that the reason that he ended up leaving his post as the head of Sony was because of fallout over the iPod in particular, where Apple all of a sudden was crushing Sony, who Sony was known for the Walkman, but all of a sudden they fell way behind, right? So absolutely just crazy set of circumstances there, but that's what kind of happened. And so I wanted to share going further up here. So this is in my feed. This is one of the things I learned that Kunitake Ando, he actually said that Sony VAIO actually almost ran on Mac OS because they were so tightly aligned with Steve Jobs and Apple. But when Steve Jobs approached them, he came to them about it. They had recently just finished optimizing their tech for Windows for the hardware and software, and therefore it was just bad timing. They couldn't do it, right? Which is just crazy. It's crazy how things work out sometimes when you look back in the past. But that's what happened, all right? Now, moving forward, let me see if there's anything else I want to cover on here. I did have this article here with Yahoo, and I'm going to cover this in a second. This is all about how Japan is all in on cryptocurrency. So I'll show you that in a second, but let me move forward here to the next thing. So this was from Reddit. Now, I found this absolutely fascinating as well. So this was a post, again, by Lil Bidman. Absolutely awesome, man. Great job. 5 months ago, and he says at CEATE 2016, the Jasmy booth was in the same hall with Toyota, Panasonic, Hitachi, Clarion, et cetera, right? And he has the blown up map of this. I mean, I don't even know how he found this thing, but look at this. This is so funny. So right down here, kind of towards the bottom, is Jasmy and BJIT group, BJIT. So if you haven't heard of BJIT, this gets really, really interesting here in a minute. But what's really important here is at this conference, we have Jasmy. And like Lil Bidman said, we got Fujitsu, we got Mitsubishi, Denso, even Huawei's over here, right? We got Panasonic, Toyota, Clarion. The list kind of goes on and on. Hitachi, all these massive brands were all here. And Jasmy was there also. That was 2016. Okay, so quite a while ago. So from there, I went on over to the BJIT group website. So this is pretty interesting. So what is BJIT group? So BJIT is a global software development IT services company created as a joint enterprise between Japan and Bangladesh entities, right? So it's basically centers all around software, right? Now, it goes into the who we are, all this stuff, and they're incorporated the various places where they're at. Look at this. They're even in the U.S. 2015, USA 2019, Sweden 2021, Netherlands 2013, Singapore, Bangladesh, Finland, Tokyo. Right? It dates all the way back to 2001. Okay, just completely crazy. Now, where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Is it down at the bottom? I wanted to show you the team here. Oh, here we go. So here's some of the advisors for BJIT. Hey, lo and behold, look who's that. Kunitake Ando. Absolutely awesome. There he is, right? Now, if we scroll up here, look who else is in here. So, Board of Director Chairman BJIT, Katsumasa Sato. So, interesting. So the Jasmy team is directly connected to BJIT. Okay. And look at this. So achievements, 6 countries, 20 years around, 50 plus clients, 1,000 projects, 750 engineers. Okay. Absolutely crazy. Now, if you go forward and you look at their clients, I was curious. I was like, well, who are the clients here? Well, check it out. So obviously some pretty big names. Google's one of the clients. Sony, obviously. Panasonic. And hey, look who's at the bottom here. A BJIT client, Jasmy. Really, really funny. So I went over to the FAQs, right? Like, what do we have in the FAQs? So what is BJIT? So it's a group of companies that provide offshore software development, IoT and big data, AI and deep learning, fintech and blockchain, cloud and enterprise solution, smartphone and embedded application. So all of this screams Jasmy. So again, here's where all those overlaps are going on. And this is with an established software company that's been doing this for over 20 years, that's in 6 different countries. So crazy. And they were part of that booth with Jasmy in 2016. So absolutely wild. All right. Now going forward. So this article posted in Yahoo Finance. It is Japan's government approves policy to drive Web 3.0 adoption. Now, Japan, as I mentioned in my tweet, is going all in. So it says here, so the approved measures are part of the basic policy on economic and fiscal management and reform 2022. They aim to create new value by promoting blockchain and digital assets while allowing users to manage and utilize their own data on a more decentralized and reliable digital platform. That's exactly what Jasmy is, right? And it goes on to say the government will submit new bills at the ordinary diet session 2023 to tap the economic potential in the metaverse. So again, Jasmy, and again, metaverse. Additionally, the country plans to promote its fintech sector by developing a system for raising funds with security tokens, easing the valuative standards for crypto. It says Prime Minister Kishida last month at the House of Representatives said that he believes incorporating new digital services such as the metaverse and NFTs will boost Japan's economy. So this is a focus for them. Meanwhile, Japan's Virtual and Crypto Assets Exchange Association, the JVCEA, the local body that governs crypto exchanges, is reportedly discussing methods to eliminate the strict screening process for listing cryptocurrencies following Kishida's expression of discontent with the current system. So basically, what happened is when the market tanked in 18 roughly, the country of Japan got very bearish over cryptocurrency. And when that happened, that's kind of when they instituted all this stuff and made it really hard for any kind of new cryptocurrency or anything to come on board in Japan. And so fast forward to today, they're realizing that they think that was a mistake and they want to be a leader in this space for around the world. And so it's just absolutely amazing how the government is really pushing this narrative, and all of these boxes check with exactly what Jasmy is trying to do, right? Personal data locker, securing your data, data democratization, IoT, Internet of Things, Edge AI. It all comes together, and there's so many different areas that you can use it. Including on our most recent call that we had on Tuesday, we even talked about how you could use this with something like medical records, where if somebody's entire medical history was in something like a personal data locker, you could take that history, you could apply Edge AI to it. It could come up with things and solutions to this person's issues that are going on in their life, medical conditions they're dealing with. It could tell you, hey, Jesse, you're almost 40. You should really start looking into the following supplements or medicines. Or if we start to see numbers in the following categories, you should go on this specific pharmaceutical medicine, but maybe you should not be on that one over there, right? So there's a lot of different areas that you can go with that in terms of those medical records. So that's pretty wild. And then, in addition to the personal data lockers, the metaverse, the NFTs, the fan tokens, we talked about that security issue that I mentioned in that past article involving, the elderly. It just goes on and on and on, all the different use cases you could do with this. So pretty crazy. I just thought it was super bullish that they're looking at getting rid of and easing some of these rules because they want to be a leader in crypto. So absolutely awesome out of Japan. Now, here's something from BitPoint. So this is something that we were talking about within our group, and I think everybody needs to know this. So BitPoint is the one and only crypto exchange in Japan that lists Jasmy, and it doesn't list it as JASMY because they only do 3 letters. So for a BitPoint, it is JMY, but it's still Jasmy. Okay. Now, it says here for their notes on crypto assets that the crypto assets we handle are only those that we have confirmed to meet the definition under the funds settlement law, which Jasmy does. The Financial Services Agency, Financial Bureau, does not guarantee or recommend the value of those crypto assets. Fine. Cryptocurrency exchange companies need to be registered with the Financial Services Agency, Financial Bureau. When using it, please check with the registered business operator or the website of the Financial Services Agency, Financial Bureau. And then it says list of crypto asset exchange company registration, right? So what that looks like is this. And normally this is in Japanese, but I have converted it into English, and here's what it looks like. And so if you're looking at it, this line right here says BitPoint Japan. So they have been approved, and they've been approved to list the following cryptocurrencies, one of which is Jasmy. And it says JMY Jasmys is the way they list it. Now, also in Japan, they have something called the Whitelist, which is all of the approved, fast-tracked, popular cryptocurrencies. Pretty sure that was the whitelist. Maybe I'm getting that confused with the green list. Anyways, it's in there, and essentially those are all the fast-tracked ones. Well, they're looking at easing that so that basically more companies can be a part of that. I think it's the whitelist, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But I'm going to show you more on that in a second also with some imagery, okay? Now, I wanted to go back over to Twitter. So this is a conversation we had within our group, and it starts with Dip Metaverse talking about this this company, this I think it was Every Sense is what it was. Let me see here. I mentioned this article, big data trading platform to launch in Japan next month. This Every Sense is what it is. Okay. Now, Brian, the sleuth researcher that he is, found this where essentially here's the Jasmy address, right? The Aoyama building, 5th floor. Okay, fine. So it's a business park in Tokyo. Here's Every Sense. Where are they at? Guess what? The Aoyama building. Right? Pretty amazing. Now, moving down further, and I'm going to kind of show you where this all kind of connects here. It says, so here's a clip where it says that Katsumasa Sato, he talks about using their technology for a data lake, right? So he says in the latter half of the recital, let's see here. During the session, Mr. Sato said that he is developing a data lake as a mechanism to utilize data collected by devices connected to IoT platform. After removing the user's personal information, it will be possible to browse useful statistical information for participating companies in their consortium. So this was mentioned. So here's some participating companies for Every Sense. Says Infocom, NEC, Unisys. Okay, fine. Moving down, it says Every Sense is not involved in data pricing. So how would they do this, right? So this is where we were starting to think, well, maybe they need Jasmy's API, right? So it says operating data exchanges is Every Sense Japan, a Tokyo-based startup that manages a separate trading platform for Internet of Things data. Okay. And, somebody commented on one of my videos the other day, side note, this is funny, that they couldn't listen to it because I kept saying data instead of data. Okay, great. Data. There we go. Moving forward here. So we've got this post where it says Jasmy will establish a consortium, Jasmy Initiative, in April to utilize the IoT infrastructure. It is said that it aims to provide commercial services by conducting various demonstration experiments with participating companies, right? So that's where kind of all this stuff sort of bleeds over and comes together even more. So Japanese companies have a strong aversion toward handling over to other companies' data, even if they have no idea what to do with it. So in this sense, if all the user's personal info is scrubbed and you just have the data, then that makes a lot of sense to use something like Jasmy. Okay. Let me see here. There was a little bit more here. Yeah, I made note. I said, sounds to me like they're using Jasmy's API, which is the application programming interface, just basically a third party software that helps them accomplish that goal. Let me see here. Moving down a little further. Oh, this is funny too. So, Brian, I think he had found that the address for BitPoint was basically also right around the corner, and the Data Trading Alliance was right around the corner. And so the point that we were getting at with all of this, all of these different things, is they are right next to each other. Even yeah, BitPoint here is I think it was 10 minutes away from their building. Okay, so all of these are right next to each other. And I think that the main reason that Jasmy is on BitPoint and no other exchange in Japan is because they're part of the consortium in effect with SBI, Remix Point, etc. That's why they're on BitPoint, right? So that could be part of this. Now, Hara has mentioned that they were trying to get whitelisted, but it's a very long process, takes over 2 years. I'll show you that screenshot in a minute. So it could be possible they could be coming to other Japanese exchanges here soon. But that was the main thing I wanted to show you there. All right. Now, I wanted to also share this. So, this is that actual data trading alliance. Okay. So, this is one of these, another, essentially groups, support group slash consortium. And Every Sense was part of this. Where are they at? They're in here somewhere. I know Every Sense was in here. I think they're further up. Here we go. Every Sense, Japan Inc., right? Regular member group. Now, who else is in this group? So we've got Fujitsu, okay. We got this NEC Corporation. We've got Hitachi. We've got Sharp. We've got Konica Minolta. We've got Toshiba. You just kind of laugh. We got SoftBank. You just go down the list here. Sony Corporation, Kyocera. It's just like one after another of all the biggest companies in Japan. They all overlap into these various groups. Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. You go down further. There's Nissan. It just goes on and on. Mitsubishi, Toyota, they're all in here. All of the big companies, Ryobi's in here. Um, who else is in here? Fujifilm, Honda, all of the big automakers, they are all in here in this data trading alliance that Every Sense is linked into. So absolutely crazy. So that's another Jasmy connection into all of this stuff sort of under the surface. All right. Moving forward. So I found this fascinating. This is from the Sony archives back when Kunitake Ando was the head of Sony. This is '04. So, we've talked about these various boards and how they overlap and, different people are involved. But I just want to highlight this to kind of show you all what this means here. So, members of the board for Sony, Kunitake Ando. So, there he is right there. Well, who else is in here, right? So some of these various people, like this one right here, Akashigi Okada, right? So it says chairman of the board, representative director, Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group. So Mitsui is the big bank that's backing Jasmy. So there's a connection right there, dating all the way back. And this particular posting was from April 26, 2004. Okay. Um, We've got further ones, right? Fuji Xerox, right? That's somebody else who was on this board. This is a funny one. This Carlos Goshen. He's the ex Nissan CEO that I don't remember if he went to prison or not, but I know he was on the run for a while. He was actually on the board here. pretty crazy. And there's some other ones in here. Like here's another one from Mitsui Financial Group. Okay, so you can kind of see why Jasmy is partnered with Mitsui for their banking needs. Really interesting. Okay. Going forward, here's another Medium article. In this one in particular, I just wanted to highlight that they were talking about that Jasmy would establish the Jasmy Initiative, essentially take advantage of the Internet of Things platform. And what I'm highlighting here is essentially a consortium through various demonstration experiments with participating companies. So this is where, I've wondered about this for a long time, and now it's starting to make more sense. Is that if you look back in the history of all the Jasmy articles, many of these companies were back there at the very beginning, right? And they really haven't added a whole lot of companies since then. It's just kind of like, yeah, they're part of the group, like Transcosmos, like Witz, uh, VAIO, right? They're all part of this consortium group with Jasmy. And, the reason why is they're basically a part of the Jasmy initiative. That's why. So they're all part of this group. And my hunch is that BitPoint is also a part of that group because with their deal with Big Boss of the Nippon Ham Fighters, uh, he agreed to take part of his salary in Jasmy. Okay, so there's also a partnership here with BitPoint that's under the surface. So I think they're part of the consortium as well. Okay. Um, Lastly, on here, I just wanted to go over to TradingView real quick, kind of show you what I'm seeing on TradingView. And I'm not going to go to Etherscan today because I've got too many other things in this video and it's already running long. So that being said, here's the current Jasmy chart. It has gone into this lower quadrant here. The reason why is because Bitcoin tanked on the latest inflation data out of the US, the 8.6% inflation, which does weigh on the market and does affect Jasmy. And yes, it went down with it. So, anyways, the main lowest trend line here is this 0.008 that Jasmy has not dropped below. But what it means now is even more time to stack up. All right. That's what's going on there. Now, I wanted to highlight some other things here. So I'm going to kind of go through my various posts. So I've already shared this one. Let's see. I don't need to share that one. Let's go to this one. So here was one of the screenshots. This was funny. This was from the Data Trading Alliance showing that it is also in the Aoyama building. So that Data Trading Alliance with all of the largest companies of Japan is in the exact same building as Jasmy, as BJIT. Okay. This post here, so this was the one with BitPoint and Tsuyoshi Shinjo, Big Boss, right? The promotion, etc. I already mentioned that, so we're not going to get into that too much further. Going further, here was a post. So this was really fascinating. Now, I don't know if this has any implications to Jasmy or not, but this was from the Sony archives. So Sony mentioned that Sony has been establishing an internal framework for supporting and fostering new business and product creation that goes beyond existing organizational boundaries. This is in 2015. Remember, Jasmy was founded in 2016. So Sony's Seed Acceleration Program, which seeks to fast track promising new business ideas proposed by Sony employees into full-fledged businesses, is an important part of this effort. That just having that in writing in an archive is absolutely fascinating. Okay. So let me go on here. Let's see what else we got. I had so many random things here that it was impossible to organize these. Oh, this was really funny. So here's a picture of, you can obviously see Kunitake Ando. You can see Katsumasa Sato there in the background. This is at the Japanese Blockchain Conference 2018. They're both there. Thought that was absolutely awesome. Somebody shared a picture with them. Oh, this was a cool thing. So when I was deep diving into Kunitake Ando, I found this quote from him where he said, "Back in our time, the top executives always talked directly to each other." So he talked to the other heads of all of the other major companies. So Sony executives that had that in their culture. So for example, when we have decided to launch a new PC products, which later becomes VAIO, we called and visited Bill Gates of Microsoft, Andy Grove of Intel, and Apple's headquarter in Cupertino, and talked, said Ando. So they said here in this article that it was as if he wanted to complain that executives at the big companies stopped talking to each other. So really, really interesting. And along those same lines, I'm not sure if I have any other images on it, but what I found in all of the data, data, sorry, that I was looking at was that Steve Jobs apparently had a huge affinity for Sony, and I had no idea. And so Kunitake Ando and Steve Jobs were good friends. They also were very much in a line. Steve Jobs went into their buildings numerous times, would ask them questions. He found Sony style fascinating in particular. And you know who was the head of Sony style was Katsumasa Sato, right? And so they say that he developed the Apple Store off of Sony style ideas. So pretty wild overall. You know, it's really interesting that Kunitake Ando was removed from Sony essentially in a board shakeup because of the iPod of all things. Even though he and Steve Jobs were good friends, Andy said that apparently everybody used to always go to Hawaii. I'm assuming they probably went to Oahu, and he said they would. That's where they all vacationed and played golf. So crazy, just absolutely crazy. Um, this was pretty cool here. So this was in the Sony archives where it says, and this was also from Lowell Bidman's research, where Sony established its platform for sharing of medical and health information and launches the HARMO electronic medication notebook service for medical care facilities and pharmacies. Now, why that's interesting is it says that Sony Corporation launched the platform for the sharing of medical information that leverages the FeliCA contactless IC card technology and utilizes secure cloud systems, placing the highest priority on the protection of users' personal info. So again, this is the personal data locker, the secure guardian. This is exactly what Jasmy is using. So Sony's established this platform, relatively short period of time. With it, participating facilities will benefit from easy sharing of users' health data. So pretty awesome. You know, they go on to talk about the FeliCA contactless IC card technology, has a strong track record, etc. So this is Marita, who's one of the members of the Jasmy team. He's the one who invented it at the Sony Computer Science Laboratory. And here's an article on it that basically talks about exactly what Jasmy's doing. So I found that pretty awesome. Lowell Bidman insinuated that maybe this could be the spinoff that turned into Jasmy. I don't know 100%, but either way, it was pretty interesting, right? And I don't know. I don't think they still have that. Moving forward, here's another photo, so you'll find this interesting. So remember earlier when we were talking about Centrality blockchain? Well, look who's here talking to Centrality. It's Kunitake Ando. There he is right there talking to them. So it's funny, you know, once you switch your Google to the Google Japan, like Brian taught me, you can find a lot more really interesting stuff, and that's kind of where I found this one here. Okay. All right, moving forward to just a few more. I don't have too many more, so here's one on a little background on Kunitake Ando and his overall background. As I mentioned earlier, he started 1969 with Sony, so he was there like 50 years, just forever. You know, he developed a life insurance company. He was the president basically for 5 years. He has extensive overseas experience, having served as president of Sony Engineering and Manufacturing of America in the 90s. So, you know, as we talked about previously with Kentaro Mura, the guy they brought on in Silicon Valley, well, look who also has extensive experience in Silicon Valley, Kunitake Ando. So I thought that was super bullish just to find that in his background. Pretty cool. Here's another random thing that I found totally just off the cuff. I was looking up the blockchain conference in Japan, and it looks like it's coming up. So July 8th through July 10th in Japan is the Blockchain and Internet of Things conference, and I would be willing to bet money that Jasmy will be there at a booth along with BJIT. So anyway, if you're in Japan, you may want to check that out. Otherwise, we'll have to find out about that one after the fact. This year, so we also offer a new service called Community-Based Town MAAS. Service providers can use the personal data of automated driving users in a safe and secure way to provide various services such as transportation, medical care, and payment. So this was part of, I want to say that was an AMA that was on Medium, that this was either Hara or Sato who's making that comment right there. So yet another use case for Jasmy in regards to the automated driving, okay? Going forward, we had this one here. So with that being said, how does Jasmy strive with these regulations, working on the process to be listed in the whitelist? There you go. So it is the whitelist. So this was Hara commenting on this one. They said, Jasmy had been trying the application process for 2 years. So 2 years they've been trying it, and they still aren't fully on it. But they are legally compliant in Japan, which is how they're listed on BitPoint, okay? But I just want to highlight that it's taken them 2 years to do so, and they check all the boxes of everything that the government in Japan is focusing on right now. Now this one right here. So these few months have been busy for Jasmy. Can you list down what are the achievements so far? So he mentions the launch of being on BitPoint. This is Hara again. And then announced this month, we have successfully installed Jasmy Personal Data Locker and TISI WIT of Witz Co. So Witz Co is the one who is partnered with Toyota. And so again, this goes back to the autonomous driving. So that was a big deal. I found this post very interesting here. So this is from an AMA that was done directly with Hara from questions that were asked in the Jasmy Discord group. So in this particular question, they were asking about the connections to Sony and PlayStation, right? And here's what he had to say. So he says, as y'all understand, Jasmy is a project started by ex-Sony board members as the core members. Because of this, we've received messages from people saying that they're looking forward to collaborating with various Sony projects. However, and this is interesting because I didn't prior know this, he says, Sony and Jasmy are separate legal entities. Therefore, there is no direct relationship between Jasmy and Sony Wallet or Sony Coin, as you asked. And the philanthropic and positive relationship between Jasmy and Sony is still ongoing, and discussions are taking place. So I find that pretty fascinating. And he says, we'll keep working on where Jasmy Coin is part of the PlayStation 5 ecosystem. So this is something that Blake has talked about numerous times on our calls, is the PlayStation 5 implications. Well, there it is, straight from Hara, okay? Let me see here. Secondly, this was also from Hara, again from AMA. We plan to develop various measures to increase circulation by bridging with other blockchains. So that is that Centrality connection there. This was one of the most fascinating ones of all, so I did not know this. So Jasmy, this is from one of those AMAs, named it by combining the names of the representatives of the project team. So we have Japan, Ando, Sato, Masanobu Yoshida, and then Yoshida. So Jasmy. Awesome. Had no idea that even was out there. I think this might be the last one. Let's see. What are the benefits of holding your token as a long-term investment? Can you tell us about the motivation benefits for investors to keep your token in the long run? Yes. So this is one of the most critical things I want to share with everybody, is that this is from Hara himself. Theoretically, the value of Jasmy coin will increase as the amount of platinum data stored in Personal Data Locker, a key service offered by Jasmy, increases. As the amount of data stored in the PDL increases over time, long-term investors can expect to see significant capital gains. So if you saw the video I did just the other day comparing Jasmy with Cardano, that did not account for any of this. That was simply just looking at the chart in a rough comparison. You throw this in there, it's a whole new ballgame. So our timetable could be sped up. The increase that's possible with this could be sped up. All of those factors could be sped up. But I know that's been an absolute mouthful, a mountain of things in one video, more than I like to put in a video, but I just went so far down the rabbit hole. I had to share these all. So anyhow, I'm going to bring it on home in a minute here with some final thoughts and close this one out with what I think it all means, right? If you're enjoying today's video and want to learn more, make sure to visit our website at kirfinance.com, your one-stop resource shop. Once you're at the site, the first thing to do is provide your email in order to be made aware of future announcements, including blog posts, products, and services. Next, check out the About Me section for a little bit about our mission and how we plan to pay it forward. We also have links to our social media, including Twitter and YouTube. Our brand new Patreon page was also just launched with the website, where users are offered various membership tiers for exclusive content and access. We even have a blog now where I plan to post daily financial articles. There's also a link to our merch shop where we've got KIR finance product options for the whole family. Our affiliate links are posted for endorsed platforms. Just click the picture. NFTs are also available now at OpenSea.io. We have a financial education section, which includes my book on personal finance and soon-to-be course links. And lastly, if you'd simply like to leave a tip, you also have that option, and we'll mention your support in our next video. Thanks for watching, and now let's get back to the video. All right, so now let's sum up this video with some final thoughts. So the first thing I probably want to cover is the partnership with Centrality. So that is where Jasmy's blockchain is coming together. So a lot of people have questions about this, like, well, in order to accomplish what Jasmy wants to do with these personal data lockers and transactions, Ethereum really doesn't work. Well, they're not using the Ethereum blockchain for that part of it, okay? So the Ethereum blockchain is really only used for this Jasmy coin for the investors, is kind of how I'm seeing it, as well as through the companies who would be purchasing a license. That's kind of where that comes in. With the actual platform, the data lockers themselves, it looks like that's where the partnership comes through with Centrality. And I've seen mentions as well where they talk about bridging with something like Substrate, obviously Polkadot. You know, there's some different bridges that they can do to make it interoperable across the board with other chains. So the Centrality partnership is really important. I think what was fascinating was finding the connection with Sheng, who was on the Jasmy team, who used to work at Centrality. So there you go. Ba-ding! Found that one. Now, outside of that, so some of the other overlaps here, like the BJIT, I find that one absolutely fascinating. They're also in the same building as Jasmy. They offer many of the similar services, so you can see where those overlap with Jasmy. And you look at their prior partnerships, they've been around for 20 plus years, 6 different countries. Fascinating. Then you go to the background of Kunitake Ando. Huge background in America, Silicon Valley, good friends with Steve Jobs. He knows all the big power players, Bill Gates, everybody. He knows all of them. They all know him. I thought it was absolutely just crazy how Steve Jobs was really sort of enamored by Sony and everything that Sony had accomplished. He wanted to be Sony, and ultimately it's his iPod that in a way created the board shakeup that had Kunitake Ando removed as the CEO. So pretty wild how that all kind of went down. But even so, even with being removed, it's not like he was completely removed, because he was still working with Sony all the way up through 2018. So what's that, 13 years later, was still working with Sony. Now, it's even more fascinating when you start digging into those Japan blockchain conferences. Who's there? Kunitake Ando's there, Katsumasa Sato's there. They're both there at these conferences talking to everybody. All the major corporations are there. So you just think about all of the overlap that's going on here with them, with all of the just major corporations of Japan, the government of Japan. And now you look at the government focus that seems to be laser focused on bringing Japan back, right? So they want to knock GAFA out. They're done with Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple. They want to see Japan back in the forefront of technology, and this is how they do it. So as long as they keep pushing that narrative, they get it more and more popular. They really start exposing the blockchain technology, all of the different use cases for Jasmy, and there are so many of them. So it's not just, you know, simply personal data locker idea. That's it. I mean, you take the personal data locker, you use it with Nippon Travel Agency, you can get travelers' data put in there, you apply Edge AI, you can use it with medical records, you can use it with driverless technology, you can use it with security. There's so many different angles you can go with this thing. So that is where that utility value builds, and that's where Hara was saying that they really think the coin will increase in value as they start to build value around data. So they really haven't done that yet. They really haven't. Everything has just been sort of beta tested at the ground level, the building of this whole thing, and that's where we're at. But it's all developing very positively, and it's right in line with the government of Japan. It's, the BitPoint listing was huge for them. And there was even another article that I couldn't find it for some reason. I must have closed it out. That was an interview with I want to say it was the head of BitPoint and with Katsumasa Sato. And they were kind of talking about, working together and how Jasmy finally got listed on BitPoint. So that was pretty cool. So ultimately, they've been trying to get on that whitelist for over 2 years, haven't been on it yet, even though the coins that are on it, there's a few head scratchers that are on that list. Some of these I'm kind of looking at like, really, that made the list? So anyway, I think Jasmy will be on it soon enough if they even still do it. But it kind of looks like they may just be getting rid of it altogether. So anyways, with all of that information, if you just start digging here, there's just so many connections under the surface. That's why all of us are so bullish on this project. And it just seems like a really good idea. And everything is sort of coming together at the right time for this one. So anyways, great time to keep stacking. I know the chart's down. Does it have anything to do with Jasmy? No, it doesn't. It has everything to do with 8.6% inflation. It also has everything to do with, because of that, Bitcoin tanked through the support level. So Bitcoin went down, Jasmy went down, the whole market's red. It is what it is. But that has nothing against Jasmy whatsoever. And everything with Jasmy, with all their corporate relationships, with the government relationships, with just how long they've been doing this, I see nothing but really good things here. I mean, I really don't see anything that makes me nervous with this project. I think where some people might get nervous is if you look at that data that was supplied by Hara for the Jasmy.Global, and you look at active users, well, it's 0. Well, why is it 0? Well, it's 0 because everything's been in beta testing, okay? You can't just roll this out. And what you got to realize is that these guys are connected, to Silicon Valley, multiple countries around the planet. That BJIT is already in the US, Sweden, Bangladesh, Finland. They're all over the place. You can't just roll out technology like this overnight. So they really have to test all this, make sure they get it all right. But what's really interesting is when you go back to that Jasmy blockchain, well, the head of all of this for Jasmy is Sheng, who used to work at Centrality, who's the partner for Jasmy blockchain. So anyway, that's all I've got. If you haven't seen my MEXC promotion, by all means, check that out. If you move over $500 to MEXC, you can get a free $25 worth of Jasmy. If we get 50 people to do it, they'll put a $1,000 prize pool together that gets split out between 5 different people, so you could win another $200 if you want to do that. So by all means, check out that promotion. I've got that running right now for the next couple of weeks with MEXC. And lastly, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button. Remember that I'm also on Twitter at KIR Finance, where you can find me tweeting and retweeting on a regular basis. Check me out there. And for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always says your back, tells it like it is, and I will see you on the next one. Later.